Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. This is Tuesday, Team Training Tuesday. I also like to call it Applied Neo-Life. And because we are still at the beginning of the year, I thought we should discuss this particular topic. And hopefully there will be time to have a discussion afterwards, because the beginning of the year brings a lot of resolutions, and it also brings a lot of decisions to do something better for one's health. My name is Esa Zanambasi. I love what we do in a family that for the guests you may have invited to have a look at, which is called Neo-Life. And what we do is to share good information about how to remain healthy and how to take care of our financial stress by doing a few simple things. But the bottom line is health is our greatest wealth. So as a medical doctor, I have seen over the many years that I've been in practice that preventative approaches are best. And we are seeing more and more non-communicable diseases, otherwise known as lifestyle diseases. And so I thought by discussing the gut, we can be empowered to choose more wisely. So we are opening the discussion to this very vast topic, but today I intend to keep it straight and simple as possible. So start with the gut. Do you know that 70 to 90% of your entire immune system is in the gut? And I think that is very interesting. So why should we dedicate time to gut health? Basically because your body is the house in which you live. Your home needs periodic attention. We all know that. Every function and activity of your system, day and night, physical, mental, and spiritual, depends on the attention you give it. So right next to that statement, I put the brain, because there is a real entity, a real phenomenon called the gut-brain connection. What happens in the gut will affect the brain. And way back during our embryology, as we were being formed in our mother's womb, the gut and the brain started off as one unit. So embryologically, they are related. Now that to me is very interesting. So when you think about the organs and systems of the body, here they are. I won't dwell too much on this slide, but suffice it to say that the digestive system is crucial for life and health itself. And that goes for everything, but some other systems might dysfunction and one carries on. But with the digestive system, dysfunction of it actually can spell out a lot of challenges and even ill health. However, it is one system, the digestive system, where a lot of challenges occur. And that is where a large percentage of the practice of medicine and health interest is in the gut. If you can think back, how many people have you heard of complaining about ulcers and therefore going for antacids or being given other medications to stop production of acid and all those symptoms? It is also the place which has a lot of other, I don't want to call them visitors, but a whole population living in us. We call it the gut microbiome, and we'll discuss a bit more of that as we go along. Just to prove that the gut has always held people captivated, Hippocrates, who was born in ancient Greece a long, long time ago, in about 460 BC, said a lot of things. Let food be thy medicine and medicine thy food. I like this one in blue. It is far more important to know what person the disease has than what disease a person has. So that is a very interesting slant to it. And also, the one in green here, the two in green, but the first one, before you heal someone, ask him or her if they're willing to give up the things that make them sick. That is so crucial. And it really, really directly applies to the gut, as you will probably begin to guess. And then, to summarize it all disease begins in the gut. There couldn't be a truer saying. So one of the functions of the gut is elimination. Elimination, defined, it is one of the most important vital functions of a living organism, to be able to get rid of waste products. And it is known that cells live longer without nutrients than they can live in accumulated waste products. That is very, very important. Our health is dependent not only upon intake of proper nutrients, but also the efficient elimination of waste. Now, one of the things that really keeps doctors and healthcare providers busy is problems with elimination. They cause a degree of suffering and discomfort unmatched by virtually anything else. The tragedy is that most of this agony is avoidable with a few simple changes in diet or simple supplementation. And that's what I want to unfold in this presentation, and hopefully we can think about it for the rest of the year to improve our health. So what is constipation? Constipation is infrequent elimination and straining at the stool. This sets the stage for other health problems such as varicose veins, hiatus hernia, diverticulosis, which can lead to diverticulitis, which simply means inflammation within the gut of those diverticuli, which are pockets that form as a result of constipation. And then unhealthy weight gain, which may lead to other diseases and disorders. So as we can see, a lot can be going on. The most common causes in modern diet and the lifestyle are lack of sufficient fiber and lack of exercise. And this is something that has been known for a long time. That is a label that has become very, very popularly used to describe situations that cannot be explained, okay? Irritable bowel syndrome. So what could be the causes of this condition? What could be causing irritable bowel syndrome? As you can hear, it's a descriptive term. And secondly, you need to be asking this: what is leaking into my bloodstream? Irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease and other diagnoses are descriptions of increased gut leakiness or permeability. And this is explained as holes in the gut and a disrupted gut microbiome. Remember, I said there's a huge population of organisms that live in the gut. They're supposed to be there and they're supposed to help us a lot. So that is a cross-section of a small part of the gut. And this is just to show you and to make the point that out here, where all the nutrients are coming in via the mouth and traveling down the gut, are a lot of things such as pathogens in the food that we are eating or the drinks that we are drinking. And obviously there are other things in there such as antibiotics that might come along, medications such as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs for pain, toxins such as things that might arrive in the dishwashing liquid that you happen to be using, and then low stomach acid that could be as a result of the use of antacids. So all those come and affect this layer of cells that we call well, it is just one layer thin or thick of cells that line the gut and separate this part, which is literally outside of the bloodstream, from the bloodstream. So this one layer of cells is crucial for our health. However, a lot of people, by the time they're around about the age of 30 or 40, this layer of cells has been damaged and it becomes leaky and starts allowing through all these things into the bloodstream. And that, after however long, depending on the amount that is leaking into the bloodstream, is the foundation of disease causation. Now, that is actually scary stuff because it means that what we do and how we choose to look after this single layer of cells depends on what we are actually allowing ourselves to eat. And that is crucial to understand. Allergens, and allergens is a big one, such as gluten. We know that wheat gluten is quite notorious for causing irritable bowel syndrome. And then dairy, eggs, nuts. Not for everybody. Different people have responses to different allergens. And all that is important to take note of when you're considering your gut. And then, of course, poor diet. And when we say poor diet, a lot of the modern diet is deficient in nutrients that are key in our bodies for example, creating enzymes, creating hormones, creating digestive juices and all those things that are required to break down the food. And if they are absent, then obviously it's going to cause leakiness of the gut. And then stress. We always talk about stress, and stress is a big cause of a lot of suffering and disease. Then I just want to touch on fiber and the importance of fiber. Right, our muscles of the intestine and the colon require bulk to act upon. In other words, literally like a workout at a gym. They're the weights that the muscles of the gut need to be able to remain toned and also to establish normal elimination. Modern diets supply less than 10 grams of fiber, yet we need at least, at the very least, 20 to 35 grams of fiber. So even fiber is a challenge. We are being shortchanged by the modern diets. Now, let me talk about bacteria. I mentioned them as being part of the microbiome, that is the colony inside us. Lack of proper bacteria in the gut is a factor that can cause constipation. We also know that 2/3 of stool volume is fiber and 1/3 is those microorganisms that we're talking about. Bacteria provide bulk And they also break down fiber into a key nutrient that we call butyrate. And it is key because it is the primary nourishment for cells that line the colon, that one layer thick of cells. That is the primary nutrient, and it is out of breakdown of fiber by bacteria so that the gut can work properly. However, any factors that disrupt the gut microbiome will cause malnutrition of the cells and therefore lead to reduced health because, and this is again a point that I will keep emphasizing, over 75% of the entire immune system resides in the gut. So what I like to do is to enable us to tell these stories so that we can connect the dots and realize the importance of balance, okay? How much are we balancing in order to remain healthy? And this is a place where balance is very, very important. In the gut is the home of trillions of bacteria and other organisms. I've been talking about it, the gut microbiome. Good gut bacteria are important. They help us with digestion. They produce certain vitamins. They educate the immune system by making fatty acids. I've mentioned butyrate. There are a few others as well. And they protect us from autoimmune diseases. The immune system needs to be in balance and to stay alert. It protects against foreign invaders that cause illness, and it recognizes the body's own tissue and organs to protect them from being attacked. It is when the body attacks its own tissues that we develop what we call autoimmunity. And if any of you were listening this morning when there was a presentation, it is now increasingly being recognized that even the development of cancers are a form of autoimmunity. So that's just a picture to show the gut and how a few people are battling with a lot of visceral fat, which can lead to gut dysfunction. I just threw it in there, but just to remind us, the important thing is no doctor can tell you how you are supposed to be feeling if you can't describe it yourself. If you wait for somebody else to describe for you what you're supposed to be feeling, of course they will throw things to stop the symptoms. And that is not always ideal. I've talked about the dangers of antacids and how that can disrupt the gut microbiome. But anyway, let's carry on and ask ourselves, what else could it be? Once you've listened to your body, what are you listening out for? What else could it be? Because each individual, each one of us has to learn to think out of the box when it comes to health matters. And this is where I want us to discuss the very real possibility. And if you are alive and well, it is very likely that there will be parasites in the digestive tract. What is a parasite? A parasite is an organism that lives in or on an organism of another species. And for human beings, there are three main classes. Those are protozoa, helminths, and ectoparasites. But for the gut, we consider protozoa and helminths mainly. Ectoparasites include lice and mites that can burrow into the skin, and they can stay there for a long time. Now, there are going to be a few gross pictures of these parasites, but be aware that soil-transmitted intestinal worms can produce a wide range of symptoms, including diarrhea, abdominal pain, lethargy, and weakness. These infections can cause malnutrition and poor growth in children. Hookworms and whipworms can cause anemia, making children feel weak and tired. We have to remember this. It is believed and really known that these worms can lead to poor school performance. So there is another gross picture of a cross-section of a gut showing some worms in it. And right up front, they can look really scary. So why it is important to think about parasites and to keep parasites on the radar as a potential root cause of some otherwise undiagnosed chronic issues. Okay, and this is the reason. We know that they are T helper lymphocytes, T helper cells, and there are at least 4 main types of T helper cells that participate in the body's immune response. Those T helper type 2 cells are activated against parasites, but are also responsible for the development of asthma and other allergic inflammatory diseases. So when there is a dominance of T helper type 2 cells, the immune system, in the immune system due to parasites, this may predispose whoever is so affected to have worsened symptoms of allergies, asthma, eczema, skin rashes like cold hives, autoimmune diseases, and viral infections. Now, this is crucial. We tend to want to put things on the skin, yet we have to remember that it could very well be as a result of an overload of those parasites, causing the body to respond by creating a lot of T helper type 2 lymphocytes, which can then manifest all those things. So the importance, again, of thinking of parasites. It is known that parasites absorb heavy metals, and they also harbor mold spores. Mold spores are fungal spores that are very common in areas with high rainfall or in damp areas, for example, near lakes and seas. And then, of course, heavy metals such as mercury, lead, all those things. Parasites are known to absorb them and to harbor them. And if they stay in the gut in a large population, that can be problematic. Parasites have also been known to harbor smaller microbes, such as viruses and bacteria. So at times we get so worked up about getting a virus from out there somewhere, and yet it might be from within us, and it is periodically released into the blood, into the gut and into the bloodstream when, for example, there is a die-off of the parasites, or when they change their life cycle, because they do go through life cycles. And then these viruses are released and they quickly have to go out and look for other cells to infect. So that is something to remember. I just thought I would bring it up at the beginning of the year. Here's another gross picture. Some parasites can lie dormant for extended periods of time. This makes the diagnosis of parasitic infestation challenging, as there may be no symptoms, or the symptoms can be vague and non-specific, just feeling not well, feeling achy and, but you can't put a finger on it. So that is the importance of thinking, what if it is parasites? Okay, we need to think out of the box. So here's a good question. How do we achieve good health? What are we to do? I bring this picture up again, balance. We need to understand that we need to move our bodies, and we need to be so aware of what we put into our bodies. And we have to choose foods that perhaps are not inflammatory, They don't cause too much inflammation to the gut and therefore lead to a leaky gut. I pointed some of them out, but I'm going to show some visuals of some more. Choose your oils carefully, please, and avoid all those preserved and colorants and chemicals in your food. Avoid them. And this is a food pyramid with a difference, but again, right up at the top are those sodas, cans of things, chips, and all those things. Please avoid them as much as you can. It is sometimes totally not easy to avoid them all the time, but if it is going to lead to leaky gut and increased sickness in the future, best to avoid them. So we ask ourselves, here's the upside down food pyramid, where the reality in modern lifestyle is that junk food, as we like to call it, it's either junk or food, but anyway, fast foods and all that, and then the highly inflammatory oils are more in our diet than what we should be having. So we need to be so aware at the beginning of the year that if we are to create health and therefore wealth going into the future, we need to be able to eat according to the right portions of the right things. And you notice here there are lots of fruits and vegetables. Now the grain ideally should be whole grain, ideally should not be sprayed with fertilizer, with pesticides or glyphosate and things like that. But that is not the case in modern lifestyle. So I've gone ahead and showed you the modern food. And look for things that will give you fiber. Look for whole grain that will give you vitamin E. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. Make sure that they are not sprayed excessively with all those chemicals. But the reality, oh well, that is it. So ideally, if you can limit the things that might cause inflammation to your gut, I'm just showing you all these things because I'm trying to be real, then what we need to start looking at is how to fortify ourselves to strengthen the immunity of the gut by using the correct foods and perhaps avoiding the wrong foods that are very inflammatory. But now we need now to consider what we have best in this family, and that is supplements, the importance of supplements. And we have a scientific advisory board who have been teaching us over the years that good health begins with healthy cellular function. So that is our board. It was started by a very notable researcher and pharmacologist and toxicologist. He was the founder or the pioneer of oral chemotherapy. He did a lot of research in cancer, and he declared that nutrition is the way to go. And hence the amount of research that has gone into the nutrition supplements that Neolife has. And we are really, really privileged to have access to them. The reason they are not sold on the greater market out there and instead by word of mouth is that they would get lost among all the other ones that are either synthetic or semi-synthetic. So cellular nutrition is the foundation of good health. That is what is going to save us from an increasingly difficult food supply and the dangers of developing a gut that is dysfunctional. And the first thing is this product that we call TreeNN. And we also have in Pro Vitality, 3NN, but Pro Vitality is a very comprehensive pack that supplies us with what we cannot be eating enough of. That's what supplementation is all about. So it has 3NN, it has an antioxidant product called carotenoid complex. It has salmon oil plus, which is a very, very powerful anti-inflammatory. And then it gives us the essential vitamins and minerals. So once you have your core habits and your core nutrition, that is another concept that we have, then you are doing yourself a huge favor. The next thing to do regularly is cellular detoxification. This was the first product that Dr. Arthur first formulated, and it actually can be an antidote to the very cancer chemotherapy that he pioneered and researched. So BetaGuard forms the core of the detox program. Then I wouldn't be complete if I didn't say that detoxing your environment will impact the health of your gut, okay? So make sure that you're using toxic, non-toxic cleaning products. These are the components of a detox program. Work at a cellular level, and garlic is an amazing product. I talked about worms a lot. Garlic has properties of deworming. It is called a vermifuge. If you use bigger doses than just one, it is a very, very effective vermifuge. We also talked about constipation. Stage 6 is a mild but very, very effective laxative. And then supplements, important in the detox program. Remember to drink plenty of water, but additional fiber would be good if you're not eating enough of it in fruits and vegetables. And when you do use additional fiber, you need plenty of water. I just want to emphasize that point. Also multi-mineral, because as BetaGuard is removing those heavy metals, one loses other metals and minerals as well. So we have a multi-mineral supplement. And then for the gut, the presentation wouldn't be complete if we don't mention aloe vera. It's very soothing. A lot of people who have suffered from ulcers that could have been as a result of either infection or low acid production, and therefore inability for the gut to function well. This has been shown to be very healing to ulcers, a common affliction of the gut. And you can even make it into a wonderful drink with a recipe if you so wish. So I just want to remind you of this as we wind down. 1 layer thick of cells or 1 layer thin. If it is healthy, it is nice and tight and it won't allow the wrong things through. Unfortunately, it tends to be compromised, and as a result, there is reduction of nutrient absorption, and instead into the bloodstream go all the wrong things that can make the gut very permeable and unwell. So here is that important question again. Ask yourself, what is leaking into my bloodstream?